When Dr. James Naismith paid a visit to the Hoosier State, he knew his great game had a home. Chris May at the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame.
You can point to 1925 when James Naismith came to our Indiana High School State Tournament and saw with his own eyes that the sport and the excitement and the interest and the passion had gone beyond anything he expected.
Basketball has remained Indiana's sport.
And the game grew quickly across the state through the 40s and 50s, and with the population spread out in tiny towns, attending high school basketball games became their entertainment.
For a lot of years, that was the fireplace that the community gathered around, and then it was the high school basketball. So in the winter, what else do you do in Indiana? You go in a gym, and I think it went from one generation to another.
And the gyms grew. 11 of the 12 biggest high school gymnasiums reside in the Hoosier State.
Countless examples are of a community wanting home court advantage, either at a sectional or regional, so they went out and raised money to build a bigger facility so that they could host it. The interest in the high school state tournament was so immense that they couldn't find facilities big enough to sell enough tickets for everyone that wanted to attend.
With the game's popularity came the legends. Oscar Robertson at Crispus Attucks, Larry Bird, the Hick from French Lick, and the Wizard himself, John Wooden. There's no better state to host March Madness, something Hoosiers have known and lived for years.
Indiana always had that in its high school tournaments. You had great upsets every year, great stories. And so I think what you saw in the explosion of March Madness happened decades ago in Indiana.
The history of basketball doesn't reside in Indiana, but at the same time it does, because Indiana has gravitated towards basketball. Unlike a lot of cities that needed maybe a major metropolitan, a major city to maybe fuck with it, but no. As they say, the Hicks fuck with the basketball. Shout out to Larry Bird. This is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the point guard for the Indiana Pacers. The man is 6'5", slim build. Not exactly the biggest guy on the court, but he has dribbling skills, and his clutch skills are kind of crazy. I have him for fantasy, just a little personal story. I have him for basketball, NBA fantasy, and he doesn't necessarily score too many points in the first half. It's usually the end of the third and pretty much the whole fourth quarter is where he gets a lot of his points at. He'll end up with maybe 6 points at the half and then end up with maybe 25, 26 points at the end of the game. So that just proves, like, you know, he kind of floats during the beginning of the game, and then towards the end he ramps it up and starts doing like crazy stuff. Future all-star for real. Reggie Miller, the legend, the man of Indiana. Not from Indiana, he's from California, but his name is synonymous with the Pacers, the same way Patrick Ewing's is synonymous with the New York Knicks. He was on the Pacers for the 90s. He didn't necessarily score like 28 points a game or nothing like that, but he was clutch. He was the most clutch person that Indiana has seen. He'll shoot a three. He'll get a steal, then shoot another three if they're down, and shoot another three for them to win. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just didn't matter. Reggie Miller there was no range when it came to Reggie Miller. He didn't necessarily have the greatest dribbling skills. He wasn't going to cross you over. He was, he's more of the blueprint of some of the best players you see today, like Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, people like that, Devin Booker. Chris Mullin, 6'7", forward, played during the Run TMC era, averaged over 20 points a game, played on a few other important teams. He's just a guy that can shoot. He has the game kind of like Reggie Miller a little bit when it comes to just catching and shooting and just getting steals on defense. He's not going to dunk all over you. He's not going to cross you up. He's not going to get 10 assists. He's not going to get a bunch of rebounds. But one thing he is going to do is play at least solid defense and get you a good amount of threes. Of course, he was in the three-point contest back in his day. Sorry for sniffing so much. Tom Gugliotta, 6'9", 220. Was sort of a stretch 4 a little bit. I know KG wanted to play the 4 in the Timberwolves, so it was kind of hard for him to be a stretch 4. But he had moves in the post. He could dribble the ball a little bit. He could take the ball from the rebound up the court. He had a little bit of playmaking skills. Not exactly the best passer, but he could playmake. He could shoot the threes. He could shoot the mid-range. He was like pretty solid, like as far as body-wise. Like you really couldn't push him around too much. But yeah, Tom Gugliotta was just a smart player. Rick Smits, 7'2", 7'3". They call him the dunking Dutchman. I mean, he'll put it on you. Don't sleep on him. You know what I'm saying? Like he'll put it over top of your head because he's tall. Gets rebounds. Excited to get blocks. Played on the Pacers before Reggie Miller. Played on the Pacers during Reggie Miller. It's kind of like one of those Ilgauskas stories with LeBron. Terry Porter, 6'3", almost 200. Very good playmaker. He can shoot the three. He can shoot the mid-range. He can get to the basket. He's not exactly going to dunk it all over your head, but at the same time, he's pretty athletic to get to the basket, pretty creative in the air. Pretty good playmaking skills, pretty good passing skills. This is a solid guy you want, especially when he's coming off the bench. This can definitely be a spark plug because one of his things is consistency. Karis LeVert played for the Nets, got traded to the Pacers this year. He's a Pacer, and he's doing okay as a Pacer. He's 6'6", can play 3 positions, the point guard, the shooting guard, the small forward. Has a mid-range, has a little bit of a essence of a street ball game a little bit. Not exactly the flashiest, but just when it comes to isolation and shot creating, that's usually what it comes down to with Karis LeVert. I don't want to say he's a black hole, but I don't know. His assists aren't going to be as high as people want it to be. He's not exactly Tyreek Evans, but at the same time, his three-pointer is pretty good, and his just ability to score is why he's on teams. Dylan Brooks, 6'6", 220, pretty good all-around forward. Andrew Bogut, the number 1 draft pick from 2006, rebounds, blocks, defends. Taj Gibson used to play for the Bulls, 6'9", can shoot the mid-range, has post moves. Reggie Williams, a guard from the 90s, used to play on the Nuggets with Mutombo sometimes. He played with Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. He was a 6'7" guard, barely 200, but can shoot the three. He can shoot the mid-range. He can go to the basket. He wasn't exactly the most athletic, but at the same time, he had glimpses of just showing enough athleticism to do what he wants to. Daniel Gibson, 6'2", most known for being on a reality television show. He can shoot threes. Onyike Okongwu, he's a prospect. Nick Nurse. I had Nick Nurse for the town of basketball The basketball lovers.
So we'll go right to this as the next drill. This will be good for you as well, okay? I think. And you're probably okay right now. So here's what we're gonna do. If we wanna get stronger, like in the weight room, be able to bench press more or curl more, what do we have to do to the bar? You know the bar? That we gotta put more weights on sometime, right?
I know it's gonna be that.
Right? We got to put some more weights on, right? To go a little bit more, like, I don't know, we got to, so this drill's kind of like that. So here's what I want you to do. You're going to shoot all your shots from this blue dot.
Okay.
We're going to do a set of about 15.
Okay.
And all I really want you to do is not worry about making them. I want you to try to make them, but I really want you to shoot them straight. Okay. And if you don't make any, and if you don't do, I don't care, okay? This is a little more weights than you can probably lift.
Yeah.
Okay, but the point is, you're going to see the point in a minute. Okay, so you're going to shoot.
This guy is almost known as the genius of basketball and basketball. Mid-range scoring, defensive IQ, rebounding, and low post offense are strengths. Blocks, dunks, vertical, and ball handling are weaknesses. I would say agility and speed would be weaknesses also. But other than that, 3 points would definitely be a strength. I would say so. This is the Indiana Pacers.